Vyapt Growth Series has been instrumental in sharing the possibility of growth of various segments of our industry. This helps us to visualize the future through the lenses of our corporate leaders. In each episode, we come up with a growth story to share it with millions across the globe to instill hope. Pandemic or otherwise, healthcare industry will be on the front foot of growth through technology, digital and infrastructure growth. In our growth series today, we have with us one such leader who dreams of transforming the healthcare industry. We have with us Mr. Harish Manian, who is the CEO of MGM Healthcare. Harish, with almost 2 decades of experience, has been instrumental in his contribution towards entire ecosystem of healthcare and was also associated with the world's most prestigious and largest liver transplant program in India. Welcome to the show, Harish.
Hi, Pankaj. Thanks a lot for having me as part of the Vyapt series. I'm really happy and privileged to be part of this growth series. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Harish. We start with our first curiosity. So, how do you see the growth of the healthcare industry in India? And has the pandemic given a boost to the healthcare industry, or is it limited only to COVID-19?
Okay, so I have very diverse view on this whole question, because ever since this pandemic has broken out, I think people have been asking this question time and again in various forums. I think that's one thing which has happened because of this pandemic of COVID-19 is that people have got some increased focus about healthcare. Some of the starking things about Indian healthcare today is that India spends probably the least as far as GDP is concerned on healthcare, even less than probably Bangladesh and Pakistan. So I think there is a very high requirement for us to start focusing on healthcare for a country of this size. So I think what this has done is to bring us to a very close reality that the government and the people have to start looking towards health more closely. I think that's one reality which everybody has faced it because of this pandemic. And what has it done in terms of brought the focus back to healthcare, which is, if you see, a US Congress debate during the election, the first two topics will be either health or defense or terrorism. So health is either in the first two topics, which they debate and trying to figure out. And same is the case in UK as far as NHS is concerned. But in our country, I think we never debate on healthcare at all. Our debates are a totally different level. So I think what this has done is brought up to a level where people could have to start thinking that, okay, whether our health systems are ready to be serving the kind of a population and the demographic spec what we have. The dichotomy today is that, if you go from south to north upwards, the health systems down south is considered to be slightly stronger, and because of the reason of bed to population ratio being quite fairly healthy, so to say. It's not ideal, but still healthy compared to other parts of country. And as you go up, there are very diverse scenarios which you see, which is very, very sad state of affairs, so to say. So that's one part of it. The pandemic has brought focus towards healthcare, what we need to do. Now, when you talk about healthcare, I think, there are 2-3 segments in healthcare, which is very important, right? Hospital is just one piece of it. There is, there is hospital, there is biotechnology, there is pharma, there is health IT. The biggest people who have come into play, I think I was responsible for telemedicine with one of my assignments. And I still remember when, way back in 2004, when I used to go around talking about telemedicine, people used to think that I'm an alien which has come with some sci-fi stuff to talk about telemedicine. And they said, हम जब डॉक्टर साहब से डायरेक्टली मिल सकते हैं तो टीवी में क्यों देखें, right? So people now imagine, every hospital is publishing data on how telemedicine is more effective in a situation like this, and people are predicting 50% of their workload as far as outpatient will be over a period of now, from coming now onwards, will be basis telemedicine. So if technology which was lying low and lying under the carpet for quite some time, but very useful, suddenly it has boomerang, and every company which was actually talking about telemedicine has, skyrocketed in terms of their, the opportunity what they see suddenly into the market. I think that's one piece which has, so healthcare IT has suddenly taken a, I would say, different, shape by itself, because of pandemic. And that's, see, I always see good side of the thing, what has brought to this. You know, one very big thing which has happened in because of this pandemic is that, you know, when I talk about pandemic in COVID, people think, you know, the way you talk at times, it feels, yeah, acha ho gaya ki pandemic aa gaya actually. So, so I feel, I see the optimistic part of it, because what has it brought to the industry and how things have changed. The big problem in Indian healthcare was also one was, infection control. Because of pandemic, people started washing hands so much that, you know, hand hygiene compliance has become 100%, where the hand hygiene compliance was always an issue in any hospital across the globe. Today, hand hygiene compliance is best, which actually takes to the infection control measures are very, very, you know, stringent within an organization by default. You know, post March, you see hand hygiene compliance is 100% in all hospitals suddenly. So that's the funny part of a serious situation which has occurred, which has forced people to, you know, in fact, can you imagine? Yes, probably an administrative team was the people who used to wash hands while having food. Other than that, they've never washed hands. So imagine they wash some 50 times today actually. Sanitizing से हाथ साफ कर रहे हैं, किसी से साफ कर रहे हैं. They are only doing this because everybody is scared of their lives. So that's one good change which has come into the industry. And being in healthcare, it is to be responsible that we should, you know, do it more diligently. But that is one more thing which has happened. Second is investment into healthcare has also changed. Technology has changed a lot in terms of how we actually, the entire workflow for healthcare has changed at a large level. So earlier, hospital mein jana tha, so we just walk into the hospital, straight entrance spot. Now I think you have to be screened properly. Whether you have temperature, you have no temperature, you will go to one center. If you have temperature, you have no temperature, you go the other way. So the entire workflow mechanism of a hospital has changed completely. And that has built in. So say for example, I always say that the technology for healthcare, which was 5 years away, has accelerated and gone to present. So that is what has pandemic done to healthcare. So a lot of good changes. It's all for good. You know, thermal imaging and all, we always spoke about it in the industry, but never implemented. So imagine overnight people are talking about thermal imaging, UV scanners, robotics. So it's all coming down. It's all good for the industry at this stage. And I think there are some changes which are good, and industry is coping up with what is being thrown at to them actually at this stage. And I think government is also taking mindful cognizance of what is happening. And there are platforms being created. There are I would say infrastructures being created by government as part of the plan, which was never in the past. You know, there is now disaster management plans being put across all minor tier 2, tier 3 cities, which actually ensures that there is adequate coverage to the population in case of a disaster which happens of this scale. So this is not going to be the last pandemic, so to say. You know, probably in our lifetime this might be the last, but there might be a few more coming our way. You know, God only knows when. Probably our grandchildren will see it. But if that happens, you know, there should be something better for them to face off. That's the only thing we can pray for. So I think that is what it's done. So that's a good part about, you know, pandemic, which has changed the way people are living together and also trying to change the dynamics of the business as a whole, as far as healthcare is concerned.
So you talked about that a lot of changes has been done by this particular pandemic, and we have been now prone to changes, and we are adapting to the situation faster compared to what we would have done before.
Right.
I come to my second curiosity, which talks about the opportunities. So what are the opportunities for growth for this particular segment when I'm talking about healthcare segment, and what transformations are required to leverage the changing landscape? I wanted both the things. When you talk about transformation, one is the business transformation and the other one is running the business transformation, that is day-to-day or case-to-case scenarios.
Okay, so I would like to pick it up from an opportunity point of view and then come to the transformation part of it. So opportunity, I think this has always been considered as one industry where it's a sunrise industry, you know, never recession proof. But initial phase of pandemic, everybody was brought to their knees actually. You know, all hospitals groups were having, you know, single digit occupancy, single digit OPDs, and then, you know, your occupancy is dropping down to almost, double digits. So a lot of crisis across, but I think over a period of time, since it was a healthcare crisis, it was to bounce back. And we were the first people to respond to the situation. So it was obviously that it is a challenge thrown to healthcare and it has to react. Having said that, but at the same speed, I think, people have realized, as I said, there are certain sub-segments and sections within the healthcare. When we talk, it's a very broad spectrum healthcare we talk about. Me, when I talk about healthcare, I talk in totality. So I see what has happened. There is an acceleration in terms of research and development for drugs. Actually, there is a rush to find out the silver bullet for COVID-19. So everybody is rushing towards it. So there is huge boost in terms of R&D as far as drugs are concerned. So pharma is probably on a high frequency, high throttle business at this stage. So that's one industry which is going great guns at this stage. At the same time, whatever medications which were proven, again, antiviral drugs, so all productions have gone up in terms of doing it. So that is one piece of it. So pharma industry is trying to, I think, leverage on this particular situation and trying to see how they can, ace the trump card of getting the drug out of the market. That's one piece. Second, with regards to technology, I think, as I said earlier also, there are some technology companies which were really relying dormant actually. Suddenly, if you see, from a private equity point of view also and from an investment standpoint, many people have started showing interest in terms of health tech, health tech used to be one of the not so liked places to be invested at this stage. So suddenly after pandemic, because of the likelihood of, the technology deployment in healthcare and the dependency in terms of getting these things sorted, I think people have started looking at health tech as one of the preferred areas where there can be enough investment so that, it can be leveraged at a much larger plan. So robotics has taken a lot of, precedence today. In terms of imaging technologies, it's taking a lot of precedence. And telemedicine, as I discussed earlier. So these are the platforms which people are trying to actually put more money and see whether they can actually. Now, people are even talking about how a telemedicine consult can become as personal as a face-to-face consult. How we can bring in the human touch element of through a telemedicine plan. So imagine, this technology is going to go there and really transform how we do the outpatient business. So my prediction is going to be that probably over the period of time, in the next 5 years, we won't have outpatients in the hospital at all. That's the way. The outpatient department will actually be a virtual clinic, which will run out of it. Similarly, I think there are a lot of areas which people are innovating on, which is actually, making people to think. Because whenever these kind of pandemics happen, that is when people start rekindling the entire business environment. And that is what is happening to healthcare especially, because the challenges come and hit everybody's face like this. And they were thinking that, okay, things are going fine, business will run as it is, patients aate rahenge, hum log operation karte rahenge. But now suddenly the scenario has changed. Now we are talking about something known as a robotic, I would say ICU. What do I mean by saying that is that I want to ensure that every patient can be managed with minimal interference with the patients and the staff, but it is monitored very beautifully by clinicians through certain technological interfaces. Each bed has its own ability to throw out analytics about the patient who is lying on it, and which can be monitored from a distance and intervened on a required to basis. I think so. Today, if we say a ICU requires a certain amount of ratio of staff to patient, that staff being there also is an added source of infection to the patient. So that can actually be minimized by bringing the staff down, but monitoring can be more efficient. So these are the things people are thinking about, how to make things more automated. So technology is going to be driving the next wave in healthcare. That is one. I think part two of it actually. And as we move forward, that these are all going to be opportunities opening up for people who are involved in artificial intelligence, technology platforms. These are all opportunities opening up. Similarly, in hospitals, my feeling is that I think there is a dire need. This one thing which has been brought to everybody's notice is that there is a dire need for nursing and clinical talent which has to come and uplift the entire healthcare system actually. What everybody is facing today is good nursing care requirement, which is been there a requirement. And as I, in few of my interactions, I always say, I think nursing, if we can strengthen in India, I think a lot of things can be resolved for. And that is not, sadly, the preferred option for many people at this stage as a career option. What pandemic has told us how important is nursing in a given scenario and how good that population is today to save an industry like this. They are actually the pivot for any successful hospital. My point of view is that I think it's high time that we realize that our Indian healthcare industry at a private level itself is 1/10 of world expenses. Otherwise also it's so cheap. And on top of that, I think we should support the industry and try and ensure that it goes up. Rather than cutting corners and killing an industry actually. So I think that's not right. I think it's high time that people should support the private health system also, because India primarily depends on private health system. So I would prefer that these changes which we are seeing because of pandemic will bring out opportunities to have more career options for nursing, technology, and also for new innovations to happen in healthcare. So that's the way I see it, as from the opportunity point of view. So that's where it is.
So you talked about opportunities, you talked about transformation. What are the transformations which is coming for healthcare industry in future? But our viewers are also interested about the employment opportunity, and this is my third curiosity. So what are the employment prospects this industry would generate? You can talk both about the direct employment as well as indirect employment this particular industry is going to generate for public in future.
So, Pankaj, I think a few things. As a hospital, as an industry, in my previous discussion with you, I was telling that employs a lot of, female population. That's good from a country point of view. Any country who has got a large female audience being employed is a prosperous country. That's the way. So healthcare does that from an industry standpoint. That's not the point here. The point here is that there is a lot of gap in terms of population to bed ratio. So India eventually over the next decade is going to be having beds being created or infrastructure being created in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So of course, where people talk about overpopulation and over-provided beds in some of the cities, like if you talk about Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, these are all metro cities, bigger cities. There are enough infra available. But the moment you move away 50 kilometers from there, you can really see how difficult it is people to get good quality healthcare. I think that is where the growth is going to happen. That is one. Second, when we talk about skill enhancement, skill training, and people go up in their talent pool, I think that is where when these kind of infrastructures are created in the periphery, you won't get really highly skilled people, but people at the bottom of the pyramid will start getting skilled up to start filling up certain positions which are crucial. And if you see, there is a trend nowadays also, a lot of senior doctors and good clinicians are practicing outside the peripheries because they know that there is enough and more population which requires treatment, and they are affordable treatment. It's not that people out of metro doesn't afford anything. I think there are many pockets in India which are far more richer than the metro cities.
Correct.
And that's where the infrastructure is required. So I think that is where the growth phase is going to happen. So I think one great thing which I think many of the hospitals, and of course MGM has also done, is that we have not asked anybody to leave this place. I think, of course, everybody has, knowing the situation on ground, we have taken certain measures to ensure that everybody gets some portion of the share act. So that's how system has to sustain. That's very important. So if you see across the board, all industries, there is job losses like crazy. But fortunately, unfortunately, I think healthcare has, to a large extent, has prevented that. Purely one, because there was a crisis within the healthcare, so people was supposed to be there. And we actually step up the game by actually involving more people and recruiting more people. I think if you see that in COVID period only, I have recruited more people, incidentally, and more doctors I have recruited on board during this period. So that is purely to show that we are very forward looking, because things will change, and if there is talent available, we should not hold back, just because there is a crisis. And I think the entire ecosystem of healthcare is going to actually get a lot of visibility. As I said earlier also, there is a lot of, I would say, we actually have always overlooked the healthcare as an industry, as a segment, which is very, very crucial as far as the overall industry is concerned. And now, because of COVID pandemic, I think a lot of focus is back into healthcare. A lot of infra will be focused, a lot of peripheral hospitals will be created, and at the same time that will also boost up the requirements coming from medtech, from medical equipments point of view, from pharma point of view, and this will all include in terms of having a large requirement for medical, paramedical, nursing, all those areas. And I would rather say that all the areas we can still fulfill, but we need more nurses in India. That's one area where I think we still need to do a lot of work, because at one point in time India used to be the largest, I would say, brain for nursing across the globe when people used to travel from India to abroad. Now what has happened is that situation is in such a great, I would say, dearth today. The nursing as a fraternity, as a vertical, is going through a tough phase. I think the entire focus should be in healthcare to nurture nursing to a large level and get them up, because they are the pivot and the fulcrum for a very successful healthcare industry, so to say. So I would say that that's something which is to be focused. And hopefully, I think the COVID has brought one thing into everybody's eyes, is that the importance of nursing in healthcare, which was which was really required. So I'm pretty happy that I think people are really appreciating the requirement of nurses, and their work has been really acknowledged at this stage because of this crisis which has happened. So that's a positive out of it. I think hopefully, I think we'll see much more better things to happen in healthcare.
Okay, so you're very optimistic about the employment generation of this industry,
100%.
and you vividly talked about the nursing staff, that it has to increase in number, both in terms of training them and making them sure that they get enough remuneration to stay in India rather than going abroad. My fourth curiosity, which is something personal to you, comes like, would you like to share some instances or stories from your life which you feel have shaped you to perform better at the top level?
Oh, okay. So, I come from a very humble background, Pankaj. I come from a middle class background. My father was in defense, and back then I think you had only two options to succeed in your life: either you become an engineer or a doctor, or third option doesn't exist. Third option is always out of the house, actually. So I was an avid cricketer. I always wanted to be a cricketer, but my father had a very clear diktat that you can do whatever you want to do till 18. Till 18, if you are not clear in terms of what you want to do for yourself, I think your place is outside that house. So the obvious choice was to study, and I had an inclination towards science, and I always wanted to be, if at all I want to study well, I wanted to be a doctor. So, and that was something which I wanted to pursue. And I also got through in one of the medical schools in Kerala, but I missed out the counseling because of the language issue, because it used to come in the Malayalam newspaper, and I can't read and write Malayalam. So that was one more tragedy in life. So after that, I think, but before getting selected into this, I was already selected into a MBA program for hospital management, which was very novel at that time. I'm talking about 96, because people have not heard about that program, and that program was in collaboration with University of Michigan. After that, I think that is where the career span. I went to the college after 3 months of gap when the college had already started. So life has been always adventurous. That's what I'm trying to say. So there, after choosing a program, when we finally passed out from the college, when we अब MBA कर लिया, अब करना क्या है, we don't know, because in 2001, when you pass out from the college and you come out of it, there is only few hospitals were corporate at that point in time. We wanted to go and ask job to everybody. So we used to take our resume and go to all nursing homes in Lajpat Nagar, Kailash Colony, everywhere where small hospitals and nursing homes were there. They used to say, Doctor Saab, aap log kya karoge yahan? So then half of us got confused. Yaar, galat course nahi karke bahar aa gaya, actually, because what are we going to do out of this? But industry boomed after 2004. And I was very clear that I want to be in marketing and sales. I think that's probably the right decision I took that time, because today, at the top leadership, people, what we expect is to have a business focus in terms of how you can shape up an organization. For that, it's very crucial to have very sharp business focus. So that's one piece of it. So I started my career as a marketing and salesperson. So that's how I took off. I think that has shaped up where I am. I was at the right place at the right time. I tried to take too many risks in my life. Probably that has paid off. And today where I am is purely because of the organization which I work and the mentors which I got. So probably I always believe that to work with the toughest people at the early phase of your life, so you will be far more easier towards the end part of your life. So I happen to work with some of the best people in the industry. I think I'm still learning. I always say that, actually. It's not over yet. The best is yet to come, I always say, actually. So there is too many things unfolding in the industry. It's at the peak of its situation. So I think you can expect a lot of action, a lot of good professionals coming on board. So I think overall, I look at it is good. I took the right decisions, probably. That's what I can say. And the stroke of luck, what we always have. And that's brought me to where I am today. I'm not saying that I've achieved great things in my life, but few things which I've always been proud about is that, you've been with some of the programs which are nationally and internationally recognized, in India and abroad. So I think that's the only satisfaction I have. So I think in the introduction you mentioned, it's actually the largest heart and lung transplant program which I was part of, and still part of, I think. And the first and largest, first two largest cardiac transplant programs, a lung transplant program and mechanical circulatory device program in India, is actually was part of my leadership at that point in time, so to say. So these are some of the achievements. And as we speak, I think we have done Asia's first bilateral sequential lung transplant on a COVID patient, which is already done in US and China and Europe. So as we speak, today morning only we did that. So these are like some of the really clinical highs. When you work in an industry, when you can actually make changes to lives, when you can bring out something meaningful, that is what makes the industry or your job satisfaction so high, because no other person can get it. Because we did the first Berlin heart, artificial heart for HIV, which is the first time in Southeast Asia. So these are things which are like big feats which you always enjoy doing in being in healthcare actually. So I think I've been fortunate enough, and I've been lucky to work with some great doctors and great clinicians and great management. So I think I sum up there.
It was great interacting with you in Vyap Growth Series. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pankaj. Thanks, Vyap, for having me on board. I'm really privileged to be part of this network. Thank you.
Thank you.